Hello, my lovelies, and welcome yet again to another episode of Countless Chronicles, the show within a show where we review the last couple of weeks that have gone on in our parent show, Countless Chronicles. It's been a wild couple of weeks with the interjection of WonderCon right in the middle of it, so we apologize if we're a little rusty and we've got a few extra shows to go through today. As always, I am Tessa, your RPG mom, and with me is my always fantastic co-host, Heather.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather. I play Soxy on Countless Heroes, and you can find me on Twitter at amethyst_magic. And I guess with that, we're going to dive right into it because we've got a lot of shows to go over.
Yeah. As always, we'll be answering your questions, so feel free to send them to us in the chat. One of us will be always watching to keep an eye out for your questions, or you can message them to us in our Discord. I don't know. I had a moment of Roz from Monsters, Inc. pop into my head, and I'm
always watching, Wazowski.
Yeah, I'm a puppet to the whims in my head sometimes, so, you know.
Okay.
Go for it, Heather.
All right, so we're starting it off with episode 132, which, to give you an idea of how long it's been since we did one of these, Tessa, that was on March 12th.
Yeah, it's been a while. Almost a month.
Holy crud. So March 12th was our first day starting off. So we have Soxy, Seldana, Mari, Nathan, and Callie. We were still in Mistwatch at this point for anyone who's caught any of the subsequent episodes. And Mistwatch is one of the cities in Lamina. It's not technically on Lamina Island. It's a little tiny island off to the side that has been sort of populated sparsely with a few people. And that's sort of the first outpost when you come to Lamina Island. We sent Glitter home, which was very important, and pulled some things from the hag bag, which led into a whole bunch of chaos. So after pulling from the hag bag, we ended up with another dead body. If anyone remembers the last recap, that last episode before, or the one before that possibly, we had ended up with a corpse of a Kerosian elf military member. And so this time around, we decided, you know what, let's go talk to them and use Speak with Dead, because maybe we could get some useful information. So what all of us forgot is that on Lamina Island, necromancy doesn't quite work the same way that it does in other places. We don't know why. We don't know why, but it doesn't. And so after casting the Speak with Dead, the corpse literally bolted upright and started acting very alive. He said that his name was Corporal Zasud Behela. He was from the Kerosian army. And he said that he was loyal to the leaders and that his leaders spoke Celestial. So he was very surprised when Callie and Seldana could. He'd been serving in Kiros near the border, and he said that he wasn't supposed to talk about his mission with anyone. He started to gasp for breath and then ended up stabbing Seldana when she went to try and calm him down. Callie took, and then he ran. Callie took off after him as well as several other people. Soxy stayed with Seldana, healed her up, and carried her because Seldana was having a panic attack or PTSD attack. I don't know exactly which way we'd categorize it, but she was having some kind of an attack because of what had happened to her previously in Cinderhaven when she was also stabbed by a rogue and left to possibly die. Let's see. So Callie used Locate Object to find the soldier. Nathan followed with Mags, and Mari turned into a dolphin and jumped in the water to also try to help, because the Kerosian soldier ultimately ended up jumping into the ocean to get away from us. We don't know exactly what his plan was after that, because we were in the middle of the frickin' ocean, but he did that. He ended up underwater, and Callie was able to use banishment to send him to another plane. After that, and this was all just while we were traveling in the morning. We kept traveling and eventually saw a few things on shore and the captain decided which one we were going to stop in. But we saw a strange group of mushroom people attacking a dinosaur in the water. We saw a massive clearing that had nothing in an almost perfect circle, and it was surrounded by skeletal-looking trees with yellow moss all over them. Both of those we decided were not good to go to. The one we ended up at was a lagoon where we saw dozens of people hanging by their ankles, we thought dead from the trees, and so the captain insisted we stop. We went to investigate. There were a bunch of bodies in various stages of decay on the ground, and also people hanging from these trees, and they were clearly still alive, but somehow restrained and having their energy like sucked out. We couldn't figure out how to get the ropes off of them that were attached to their feet, and just overall, the entire situation on that beach did not feel safe. So we ended up not going into the forest, and since the few people that were still hanging up were mostly dead, and we didn't think we'd be able to actually fix them even if we could get to them, we tried our best to make their end less unpleasant. Let's see. Another thing is that one of the bodies we found did have a ring from the Amure family, which is a Corrosian trading family that Nathan recognized the ring of. Let's see. Okay, so we left because there was no way that we were going to do anything with that creepy beach. And Callie used a divination to ask a question when we were looking at the bodies, the inside was very desiccated, and her divination told her, when she asked what creature it did this, the response she got was the fraudulent forest vast vermin. Which...
Thanks, Dragon Mother.
Yeah. Well, we pretty much noped the F out of that one because we didn't know what was happening, and if the forest wasn't real, there was no way in hell we wanted to walk into it. Where to go? Nathan left Mags behind to do some more observation from a distance so that she was safe. And Mags ended up seeing the trees get up off the beach and move at some point. There was like 5 groups of them that got up and walked away. Excuse me, 8. No, I was right the first time. So what Mags described was a large body that was the size of a bear, but it looked like a tree, and it was attached to 8 smaller trees, and it got up and walked away like a giant spider. We find out from Din that is a creature that exists here on Lamina. It is called the Goliath Longlegs. And if they're standing still in a forest, they're so still and so camouflaged that they just look like trees. And they get their nutrients by using their webbing thread to suck the nutrients out of the bodies. So, needless to say, we were really happy we didn't go on that beach. And then Soxy used Find Greater Steed to summon herself a baby one as a mount. Because...
How do you say baby? Like it's not 15 feet tall.
Well, it's baby by comparison.
Okay. If you must.
Uh-huh. Okay, and that was the end of Ixaden 25th.
Alrighty. I promise we are going to try and make these fairly quick. We've got a couple of questions that we will get to at the end. Sorry, I had scrolled down to take some notes, and then I had to scroll back up to my episode. So episode 133, Eoden the 27th. We did our hag bag in the morning, and much to Callie and Primeheart's delight, we pulled a pair of pink magic manacles that were padded out of the hag bag, which they have both claimed and have secreted them away for various purposes.
No one fought you for those.
No one did. I was quite delighted. The ship continued to make its way around the southern coast, and along the way, we did catch sight of a gargantuan jungle cat scaling outside cliffs towards a cave mouth. And as we were sailing by, a giant brownish green wyvern emerged, and the cat attacked it, and they both fell to the jungle floor below. A while later, they came upon a cliffside with brilliantly glowing blue crystals jutting from it, so we stopped to investigate. We did determine that the crystals did have some sort of a magical resonance, and not knowing what kind of mineral it was, Callie, being the amateur geologist that she is, decided to lick the stone, which she regretted once the party learned that it was actually the excrement of the bugs living inside that got very agitated when we tried to harvest some of the stone. Ew. Ew, ew, ew. But as
That's what you get for licking things.
Hey, geologists lick stones all the time. It is a thing. Not something I'm going to do again, though. As we were harvesting some of the crystal, blue-eyed scarabs began flooding out of the cracks, and we quickly used some wall of stone and some tricky ideas to seal up the holes, and managed to take a few specimens of the blue crystal back with us. Saldana captured one scarab and watched it create blue crystal on the edge of the jar that she had put it in. 'Cause ew. The group continued sailing around and saw a huge tree sticking way up above the canopy with what looked like engorged pear fruits on it. And given that this was an ocean voyage, fruit is not something we've had a lot of, so the party went to go and check out the fruits. They seemed to be very tasty on the inside. It's kind of like a pineapple, but also pear-shaped. So while the party investigated, Callie climbed to the very top of the tree and found skyberries, which we did not know how to grow because no one can cultivate them in Cinderhaven. So we were able to harvest some of those, and it seemed like the more mature fruits, about 1 in every 10 were not great, as a swarm of spiders would come out of them. So we just learned very carefully that we had to cut into every individual piece of fruit to determine if it was safe to eat, which meant we had a fruit feast, but it needed to be eaten very quickly. Saldana took the skyberries back to the ship's alchemy lab to determine their magical properties, and Oshin and Pimble had a quick sending to say that they were missing each other. Oshin also decided to cultivate the fruits, and the day ended with some sparring of various types. It's a fairly relaxing day.
By comparison.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Okay. Episode 134, Ixaden the 28th. So, the ship was making really good time around the southern tip of the island, and we were making good enough time that if we didn't stop, we'd reach our first port about the next day, rather than several days after. Errol pulled something out of the hag bag and ended up finding a nice piece of fine parchment. And this isn't really important, but it's funny. Written on it in 11 different languages was the phrase, "This bag is nothing but trouble." And we don't really disagree. I mean, there have been some fun things, but it's caused us a lot of problems too. He also started coughing a lot and shut himself up in his room more, which does come into play later. Pip spotted a small clearing with a small thatch hut in the center, so the party decided to stop and talk to whoever lived there, which, yeah, we regretted later. Callie went and checked on Errol and found him embedded in this mass of fungal matter, and his breathing was labored. We found out that Errol was essentially being consumed by Colony, which, for anyone who hasn't caught one of the episodes with Errol, because he wasn't playing a lot, Errol was a druid of the Circle of Spores, and part of the thing is that he had like a symbiote that was a fungus named Colony, except eventually Colony is taking him over, and that's what's happening here. Errol gave Pip the scarf from his Faroche friend to return to the family for a proper burial. And he gave Oisin chitin armor plates from his chitin friend to get to Soxy for the same reason, since he knows that eventually we'll be getting there and he doesn't think he'll make it. The hut was fairly large, about 3 stories, and as they were looking around, the house started moving, and they discovered it had giant bird of prey feet and legs. They continued looking around the house a little. A couple people broke in. A couple people tried to put things back. It was a lot of back and forth. And they found a woman sleeping in the bed. The woman was young, and they kind of were being quiet and avoiding waking her up. When they did eventually wake her up, she greeted them and welcomed them to her home and talked with them a bit. And also said that we offended the house when we violated its threshold. She tells us that her name is Hedwig, and she makes some tea. She starts talking about our inevitable death. And that she states to Oisin that he only has a year left, depending on her sister Guyena, who is the goddess of Kyros, Cinderhaven's enemy right now. And she said that her sister isn't a goddess, but is trying to attain godhood, partly by getting a lot of followers. She claims to be the exact opposite of her sister, and then suddenly a certain time on the clock hits, and she shifts and turns into this old, ugly hag who introduces herself as Guyena. So they are sisters, but they're merged at the same time. They talked a little more with her while trying to carefully extricate themselves from the house so as not to die. And she flew off, actually. She had the house fly off with everyone in it, which was concerning.
Terrifying.
Yeah, but she eventually let the group out, and we all headed back to the ship very quickly. Errol passed away on the beach and turned into sort of a gaseous, sporous form of himself, and left behind a bunch of mushrooms and warned us to be careful, because if we get infected by the colony, we'll become colony. On the ship, Callie used Commune to talk to the Dragon Mother and get more information, and this is important. We found out that Cass, who is one of the 12 original gods, was the Baba Yaga. They were the same person. And that Hedwig and Guyena are 2 parts of Cass that were splintered so that they're not completely whole anymore. The other parts of Cass that are spread around the world are all of the Nicosta, which includes Mari and Jastra. And we do know that if Cass gets put back together, which is what Guyena wants in order to become a goddess again, then we have to worry about all of the Nicosta around the world also dying, because the blood that's in them, the magic that makes them Nicosta, will be taken away. So we know that we can't fix Cass without killing all the Nicosta, which, for obvious reasons, we don't want to do. And Oisin sent to Pinball, and we found out that Kyros had crossed the border and that Kyros and Soldan are officially at war. Okay, and then it's like Tessa will be back, so in the meantime, I'll go with the next episode.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh,
sorry about that. sorry,
No worries.
sorry.
Okay, so that was the end of episode 134.
Alright, episode 135. We pulled from the hag bag only to have Pip get bitten by a small little insect that turned him completely rigid. We learned that this insect causes a condition called living death when bitten. As the ship continued around the southwest side of the island, we came across a huge white stone cliff with 3 15-foot-tall monkeys sitting rubbing bloody carcasses on the cliff. Some sort of mineral deposit that was flavoring the meat. Oshin got a look at them a little bit closer, and while they were giant monkeys, they all had spider faces because they were spider monkeys. Thanks, Logan. That was great. Thanks for the nightmares.
Yeah, that's not a pleasant image.
No. So our group stopped and then went over to them and taught them how to use fire to cook their food. And also how to burn most of the beach down, which was not great. So we got quickly back on the boat when we heard whatever they were eating's parent get very upset. A little while later, there was a short cliff with a bunch of vines hanging down, and it looked like there were a bunch of creatures that were held strangled by the vines. Some were still moving, trying to get out, and Pip, Oshin, Syl, and Lark flew to investigate. Oshin managed to talk to the vines and learned that they're hungry, and the creatures that they had wrapped in their vines, they were basically digesting, which is ew. Ew, ew, ew. Lots of plants trying to eat us in this place. So the party worked to put some of the people out of their misery. Gross. Lastly, they came across a inlet with a bright pink bit of ocean separated from the normal water by a sandbar. There were sweet smelling puffballs floating on the water, and it tasted kind of like cotton candy. The party tried to figure out what it was, and we learned that underneath the water was liquid silver. So Pip went back to the ship to get buckets to take it back, and thank goodness for Captain Morgan, because she provided Pip with a large ceramic cask, which was about 10 gallons, to move it. And they realized that once with it full, 1 ounce of the liquid metal was about 1 pound of weight. It was very difficult to return this amount of liquid silver to the ship. As the party investigated more, the party found several other smaller pools and eventually found one that had an entire ecosystem running through it. And they decided to leave as larger and larger creatures began to show up to eat more. And a few hours later, we got to the point where we had all been waiting for Roche territory, as Pip and Din got more and more excited as the coastline became more and more recognizable to them. The group found a place where they could set up camp. The ship anchored and began to unload. Everybody was in a great mood until somewhere in the middle of the night, gunshots rang out. The ship was seen tilting up at a 45-degree angle, and the lights on the ship slowly began disappearing one by one. Oshin, using his goggles of farsight, noticed something scaly and greenish and heard wood splintering in the distance. The ship was ripped into the ocean and the other half drifted away. The parties and the crew worked together to save all the people, but much of the equipment and the ship were lost. GB just explained to everybody that he would keep his magnificent mansion up to make sure that everybody had shelter and food. And the party relearned that Pip left the island when he was 12 years old, and he believed that a group called the Crones would potentially be able to help, though Din called this belief childish and did not believe they were real. And as Oshin cried over the loss of the ship and his ability to get home early, suddenly there was a small crying sound as glitter poofed right back into Oshin's lamp, pants and all, and he contacted Pimble to find out how it is that glitter keeps teleporting to Oshin.
Yep. Poor glitter.
Mew is adorable.
Yes, our nephew is adorable. Okay. Episode 136, Tamaris the Fourth. So we had Soxy, Mari, Callie, Nathan, Saldana, and Pip. Everybody got ready for the day and decided to go scout for Faroche and see if we could find any. Along the way, we decided to trailblaze to a nearby landmark. We had a couple of different choices. We had going to the north, where there was a series of caves. We knew that some Faroche explorers had gone there and found writings and images on the wall. There was also a pit in the ground to the southwest that was large and had weird sounds coming out of it. And then there was a large structure. It was described as being like a hut, but from the description Din gave us, it didn't actually sound like a hut. And it was immensely tall and made of stone and had no door and was perfectly smooth and then pointed at the top. So we debated what to do because the Faroche are to the northeast, so we had to pick a direction. We decided to scout towards the cave and go look at that and see what was there. We regretted this later. Foreshadowing. We went to the cave. There were a bunch of magic ribs that got pulled out of the hag bag this time that gave a couple of us some interesting abilities. And once we got to the cave, we were looking around. We looked around and found the cave and went inside. It was a very large cave, and it was partly hewn and looked about 15 or 20 feet tall, so definitely a large creature lived there. After some exploration and looking around, we figured out that it must have been a cave that giants of some kind lived in. At least that's what it appears to be, given the size of what we see around us. We were looking around, and eventually we found a spot that seemed a little different than the rest of the floor. So we decided to investigate. Callie stone-shaped it open, and Prime Heart cast light on a piece of... and we dropped it in the hole to see what would happen. Yeah, it all goes to shit from here, to be perfectly blunt.
I mean, yeah, that's the best way possible of putting it.
Yeah, so, shortest version possible, because a lot of shit went down back and forth, is that a bunch of drow came out of this stupid fucking hole. And we couldn't seal it fast enough. We tried to seal it, but they have shatter, and apparently had it prepped and ready to go, and we just happened to show them the right spot to open up, which was great. So we got attacked by an all-white drow, like an albino drow man whose arrows were really painful. And then there were a couple of spellcasters who were women that were very powerful and hard to fight. Basically, we almost died. We did manage to kill the one guy, the drow.
The crazy guy.
Yes. And, then we made a run for it, basically, trying to get away. And the entire time we were dealing with the fact that they had cast magical darkness up. So for a lot of the fight, we couldn't even see each other or tell what was happening, which just made it worse.
Yes.
Also, they used magic to make us hear things and see things that were just awful.
That was not good.
There's too many. They're all horrible. I'm not going to go into them all. But basically,
they were awful.
Psychological trauma to the group, which, par for the course for this game. And we GTFO'd, and Owen threw up walls of stone as we were leaving to give us as much of a barrier as possible, and we got ourselves out of there as fast as possible and back towards home.
Yep. That was the time. Which takes us into episode 137, where the party is approached by Captain Morgan to return to the cave and collapse it, because that's a great idea. Let's try and keep the drow from exploring everything. So we returned to the cave with the intention of collapsing it so that we could be free. And upon reaching the cave, there's a new stone wall blocking the tunnel further in, which we need to get past so we can collapse everything. So we learned that there's only one wall there and only one prominent person nearby. So Callie, knowing that stone-shaped worked yesterday, opened a door in it, and surprise, there was a high drow priestess waiting right there to talk with them.
The High Priestess.
The High Priestess. Sorry, the High Priestess.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had fun. That was a great conversation.
No.
Yeah. Callie, figured, let's call a spade, and being the head of her temple, introduced herself as a High Priestess right back. Wasn't a lie. Not untrue.
No. Honestly, that was probably the best way to handle it, given what we had to work with. Most of the party that day was male, or, Soxy doesn't look like either gender, so Callie was the only one the priestess would talk to anyway.
That's true. That is true. So some words were exchanged, and it was more of a continued intimidation fest, with each of us trying to one-up the other until the High Priestess asked Callie if she knew who had killed the King of Secrets, and Callie responded, "Oh yes, I did." Which I don't think Callie got the killing blow, but she was there, so...
She was there, yeah. I think, honestly, most of the group that was there that day was at the King of Secrets fight. Yeah.
I think Primeheart was the one who got the killing blow on King of Secrets. I don't remember for sure.
He might have been.
Primeheart gets a lot of killing blows. It's awesome. So, as Callie said that, the High Priestess casts contingency on herself, and suddenly she is head to toe, and not priestess garb, but full plate mail. Yeah. And then, as we were trying to figure out what the hell to do, she summons Baphomet, a huge Minotaur fiend, and we are split because there's also a fiendish spider construct that has been summoned, and we're trying to figure out what we need to fight to get away from her. Everything goes to hell in a handbasket, and Soxy falls to Baphomet, and her soul is stolen by his weapon.
Yep.
Back at camp, Callie is frantically setting up a ritual for Ray's dead to bring Soxy back. And as the ritual finishes, a gray and red parasitic worm slides out of the brush and disappears into Soxy's wounds, sealing it up and showing behind her eyes before it vanishes. Soxy has a vision from her goddess, and was given the divine task to hunt down Baphomet to free the souls that had been absorbed by his blade. But every gift requires a sacrifice, and so Soxy chose to give up the memories of Pinball in exchange for her new, very amazing abilities.
Yeah, that was a hard one. That was not something I was anticipating having to do. Yes, Autumn, so many feels is very accurate. We do need to clarify with Logan at some point, actually. I don't know if Soxy remembers that she has chosen to forget these people, or if it's like she has to choose in the moment and then afterwards doesn't remember that she's the one that chose.
That's a good question. We'll have to ask
we need
Logan
to clarify that at some point.
But yeah,
that was sad. Meta, Heather chose Pinball because she'll meet him again. It's someone that she has a lot of experiences with, so everyone can fill her in on a lot of stuff. And it wasn't a party member. Okay. So episode 138, Tamaris 7th, came next. Syl, Saldana, Oshin, Pip, Callie, and Primeheart. They pulled from the hag bag again. Honestly, though, why we keep using this thing is still questionable. And
because it's fun and we love chaos.
Okay, fair. Syl got a toe a mummified orc toe. And we found out that if you put it into alcohol and then drink the alcohol with the toe touching your mouth, you'll be healed. It'll count like a healing potion. How strong it is random, but it does help. And that day, everyone decided to go to the monolith, to the big, tall tower, instead of back to the caves, because fuck those caves at this point. They traveled for a bit, and then Pip ended up having to climb a tree in order to find the monolith. They're looking around, and then Pip looked closer at the top of the tree that he was climbing on and saw that it had a sharp point, and it was jet black and seemingly made of stone. So Pip, between O'Sheen and Primeheart, they convinced the tree to allow the party to take a closer look at the structure beneath it. So the tree split its seams and seemed to spread apart, and underneath they saw a smooth, black, cool-looking glass or crystal pillar. It goes very deep, and let's see. Syl used her robe to open a door into the tree to preserve its life. We found the crystal. They were looking at it and asking questions. And Saldana used commune and found out that the obelisk wasn't man-made and that mortals on this or any plane had no hand in its construction. Let's see. O'Sheen approached the obelisk and attempted to cast light on it, and as he did, he felt his energy from the spell pulled out of him and towards the obelisk. So the casters realized that the obelisk worked a little bit like Saldana's Ioun Stone and could suck up reserve magic. We don't know what it does with it yet, but we know that it can. Saldana tried to cast Sending and channel the energy into the obelisk, but she did it within the... she tried to cast Sending from the obelisk, using it as a focus, and the tree then reacted, formed itself into a huge humanoid creature, and attacked them. So there was a lot of fighting back and forth, and eventually they won. And Saldana asked some more questions with commune. But as she finished the spell, the rest of the party heard the sound of the footfalls of the chicken hut running in their direction. So Saldana asked, would continuing to cast spells into the obelisk harm the people on the island? The answer was perhaps. She asked, does casting magic into the obelisk potentially help us get off the island? Potentially, yes. And does casting magic into the obelisk potentially aid our enemies? You know the answer, potentially. Are you sure you are ready to unlock this door? Tick-tock. So whoever's giving her answers is very sassy. And
Ball is very sassy.
Yeah. So the party decided to head home, but as they were going, they stopped and waited and listened to what happened when Hedwig and Guyana got to the pillar. Let's see. So they were talking to each other, and we heard Hedwig say, we found another dear sister. Someone was here. They fed it. Yes, I know. Soon, dear sister. Yes, it will be good to see you again. And then she cast several spells into the obelisk and went back into her hut, and the party headed back home. But on the way, they saw in a little bit of ways from them a gray and brown female Faroche dressed in scout attire. She turned and ran away, though, once she noticed the other people in the group.
Bringing us to episode 139. GB pulled, this time from the Hag Bag, an intricate, beautiful card with rounded corners and a blue border and gold filigree. In the center, a tower with a moon over it. There are 21 counterpart cards with different symbols. GB has pulled the Don Juan, or the Don John, out of someone's deck of many things somewhere. The group decides to go investigate the pit, which is a howling, cavernous monstrosity of a place that they've heard about, which turns out to be just a deep crack in the earth, 20 feet across, and it's just completely pitch black inside. Using Saldana's arcane eye, as well as some light-infused shields, we learn that underneath is just a inky black water with something inside. Whatever it was went off after the stone that had light on it immediately. And after a little bit of finagling with the arcane eye, it is estimated that the pit's about 1,200 feet across, this dome underneath. So the group descends into the pit using a combination of climbing with Soxy as well as flying. Lark carried Saldana, and GB got his baby Bjorn pup backpack. Very cute. Really quick, Soxy, I've just gotten confirmation from Logan that yes, as part of the sacrifice, you are aware that you are choosing to give these people up.
Oh, that makes it so much worse. Okay.
Part of the sacrifice is knowing that you chose to do it. Sorry.
Pain.
Find out.
Damn it, Logan.
So the group decides to investigate a little bit of the water without touching it as much as possible, and something is just this monstrosity of a crocodile-esque, almost dinosaur-like creature known as the Guardian. The party moves further in, marking their way with chalk, and there are a few bodies of water, people trying to do their best to skip around it, hoping that the crocodile doesn't come for them. Thank goodness for ritual water breathing, so just in case they get stuck, they can still breathe. The party swims for a few minutes to reach the other side, and they emerge covered in gunk, but otherwise undisturbed. As they emerge from the water, they enter a mossy cavern with everything covered in green. The moss seemed to be related to whatever was causing the stink of the water, and this echoing of this breathing that they've heard, which instead of howling, they've learned it's breathing. It gets lessened as they get closer. As they continue, they find various creatures in states of rest, almost laid out in honor, as the older bodies are found first, and then newer and newer creatures with different rituals, stones, gold, outfits. It seems like the possessions of these creatures were laid out as well. It looked almost like it had been meticulously cleaned, and perhaps in almost some sort of ritual. As they go on and on, the passage ended abruptly, being filled with stalagmites, but the moss does not go all the way up to them, and the party notices that this breathing is coming from a space just to the right for where some of them had climbed onto the stalagmite. It seemed invisible, but didn't give up any magical signature. Some of the emeralds around the various bodies were determined to be magical, and after determining that it would have positive results, they learned it was a naturally occurring ion store, and it was very powerful. Increases your life experiences, and your proficiency bonuses increased by 1. Oshin decided that that was a very lovely treasure to snag. Bonnie from Shenanigans would say, "Good job." Kelly says, "What the fuck?" But she still loves Oshin. Soxy goes over to the breathing and begins to scrape a little bit of the moss away, only to uncover a huge, ancient green dragon as the mouth is revealed with teeth and gums showing. We found not a tomb, but the green dragon's collection of people. After a bit of a telepathic squabble about whether or not to take the Iron Stone, GB and Lark say, no, and Saldana and Soxy go, maybe? And Oshin and Syl took the stone without any incident, and they returned to the cab without issue. Unfortunately, Saldana woke that night with a crippling case of fungal rot disease, but the unseen servants and the fact that there are 2 paladins and several clerics in the party mean that she was cured before any potential permanent damage took hold. This is the song I call the Misery Song.
Okay. Episode 140, Tamaris 11th. Rosie pulled from the bag and ended up with a container of dust of choking and sneezing. She also got 30 pieces of platinum that were scattered throughout the dust. Pip noticed that's right, that was this episode.
Yes.
Seldana, Rosie, Nathan, Pip, Callie, and Soxy. So Pip noticed the female Feroche that we had seen a day or two before off near the shore. They went and talked to her, and she introduced herself as Frau Frau. She said that her friends were trapped by a troll that had 3 or 4 heads, and Seldana realized that it sounded like she was referring to a dire troll, which some of the group had encountered before, so we decided to go help her get her friends back. We came to a set of old ruins and a clearing, and there was sort of a cave. So ultimately, after Seldana used her eye to sort of scout around, it's nice that you forgive Frau Frau, Zach. I'm not entirely sure that Soxy does. So we came up with an interesting plan because Seldana scouted into the cave with her arcane eye and saw that there were 2 trolls, and then there was also some sort of weird-looking dog-like thing that seemed to be some kind of pet or hunting companion. So Frau Frau and Pip decided they would run off in the woods and act as a distraction and try to draw out some of them so that we could get into the cave and get to the little area where the people were being held. This did not quite work as intended. The dog creature and the male troll did leave the cave. The female troll didn't, but also partway through running away, Pip realized that they weren't being chased anymore and found out that Frau Frau had actually lied to us and had tricked us into basically sacrificing ourselves to the trolls because it was how she could save her tribe. So she had a good reason, but she did a very shitty thing. So Soxy is kind of not happy with her. There's more reasons that continue on as well. So Pip went back. He was going to go back and help. And meanwhile, back at the cave, there's a whole bunch of combat going on. The short version is we had to fight all of them. And the dog creature, whatever the hell that was, I don't know that we ever found out what that was, had the ability to shoot a disintegrate ray. So we were just basically hosed. I mean, we killed them eventually, but it took a lot to kill them all. And in the process, Seldana fell. Callie, on her next turn, and not knowing what else to do because we can't fix disintegration without a true res, used divine intervention. And Tessa rolled under our level.
It made me so happy.
So, this is a good thing. But,
Was it though?
Well, yes and no. So, honestly, if someone's gonna die at this point, it should be Soxy, because...
No! How about just no one dies,
because I can come back. Easily. There's a cost, but it's not death. Yet. So, by changing things around and having Seldana live, because of what their request was or whatever, the phrasing on it, I don't know. But either way, the way that they had it happen is that Seldana basically saw the disintegrate ray coming at her and moved just in time. But Soxy was behind Seldana. So Soxy took the hit and died instead. Except that as she died, she was also brought back at the same time. So she, disintegrated and regenerated all in the same moment. And she forgot somebody again. So we freed the captives. It was a dwarf and a human. They were the dwarf was very grateful. The human was an asshole. And we started heading back towards camp. Pip, we did go with Frau to her camp, which was very close to where we'd been staying, and found that there were 27 kits, so 27 babies. So that was one of the reasons why she was so insistent on trying to protect them. She was also amazed that we had killed the trolls, because apparently her tribe couldn't. We also found out back at camp that the dwarf and the human we had rescued were actually drow who had been killed and then reincarnated by the high priestess in order to act as spies all around the world. And that she has sent out a lot of them, and she calls these sleeper agents of hers the Octagon. Yeah, I know.
Talk about that.
Yeah. And then we talked some more, and it was revealed that this time around, as she was revived, Soxy forgot Rosie. Yeah, it was a sad one. And that was the end of that episode, right before we left for WonderCon.
Indeed. Holy goodness, that was a time. And then we got back from WonderCon, and that was also a time. We were all very tired. But the show went on. That morning of the 19th of Tamaris, from the hag bag was pulled a large pitcher of ice-cold milk, which randomly will do different types of milk, which Lark is so incredibly delighted by. The jug is magical, the milk is not, so he was able to get an entire taste of donkey milk. No, personally, not about that life, but okay. He was very happy, and as we were getting ready to kind of figure out what to do today, there was a huge ruckus from downstairs, and then panic as we realized the entire outside of the mansion was on fire. During the night sometime, someone had thrown hundreds of trees into the area of the tent that hid the entrance to the magic mansion, and it was merrily burning away. Callie was able to get outside thanks to Soxy. Oshin and Lark were able to check on others. Callie cleared a space, and Owen used Mirage Arcane to turn the terrain into a 100-foot circle around the tent into watery terrain rather than forest. He was able to see one person hidden within the trees, the human that we'd rescued that used to be a drow and part of the cylinder. Or sorry, the octagon, not the cylinder. So he went after the former drow and got hit very hard with a ranged attack. It took some poison damage, and the fight continued, but unfortunately he was just a little bit too fast. And though people tried to find him through scrying, it was finally Oshin who used Commune with Nature to locate him, talking to the powerful High Priestess a half a mile into the woods away. Figuring that was too dangerous of a thing to do at the moment, the group headed back to camp. Oshin found Tathlin, who was the dwarf, charred and laying face down in the water. Back at the camp, new information was discussed about the High Priestess and that the camp needed to be moved as the drow knew where we were. Primeheart used Speak with Dead, and Primeheart asked if Antanar or Tathlin had been sent by Shin, and all his response was keep it safe, protect the stone, and that there was one cache of weapons nearby, and that he wanted to be placed at the foot of the Dragon Mother as his final resting place. The group decided to go check on the obelisk nearby, and as they got ready, they heard a loud boom from the direction of the obelisk as a wave of energy pulsed out from it. Saldana, Ocean, and Primeheart heard her high-pitched whining, and Primeheart realized the sound was coming from below them, and Foster started digging. He found a small piece of air shale, roughly 4 or 5 inches long, and Primeheart picked it up and then absolutely forgot what he was doing and started running directly into the heart of the forest as fast as he could. Thanks to Lark's quick thinking with telepathy, he was able to calm Primeheart down, but Primeheart let the group know that he could feel the heart of the jungle pulsing through him. And when the Dragon Mother was mentioned by Soxy, Primeheart again felt pulled toward the center of the island. Everyone decided to go towards the obelisk, and there wasn't much around it anymore for about 50 feet in a direction, as something had just cleared it out. They could feel arcane energy radiating from it, and Saldana lightly touched her fingers to it. As Saldana touched her fingers to it, the vibration stopped, and she felt all energy return to her, and as all of her spell slots instantly regained, and she collapsed to the ground, unconscious. It was something like an information energy overload. She realized that the amount of energy in one obelisk could level Cinderhaven. The group discussed whether or not to follow the stone's pull or to follow the Baba Yaga, and they decided to follow the Baba Yaga. The hut was kneeling by another obelisk, and Owen urged that the group may never truly be ready, so we should take the chance to either act while we could or speak with them. Saldana walked up to the door and knocked, and Hedwig opened the door, and the house was filled with a magical darkness. Hedwig warned Saldana about touching the stone and having the consequences. She offered to show Saldana the consequences that Hedwig had to face, which she refused. Hedwig admitted that she only needed to find one more stone, 9 of 12. The one that she had activated was number 8 of 12. The last one is obfuscated by some great force, possibly an Elder Fae, and she needed to get to it before her sister did. Hedwig did not want to be a part of Agon anymore. She knew that Cass had been who she used to be, but the old pantheon died long ago and no one wanted to follow them if they knew the truth. I disagree. Hedwig's sister, Guyena, wants to bring Cass back, and all the other gods would unite again, and the new gods would cease to exist. We learned that the original inhabitants of the island split the gods and caused their own demise in the process. And then they split the gods because they were tired of being used like their playthings. She cleared the magical darkness to reveal dozens of bound female drow that she had used to activate the stones, using their magic rather than hers. Ocean used sending to talk to Pinball and found out the Corosians are more fervent in their religious zeal, trying to spread their religion. And Saldana decided to cast Commune with her god and ask for more answers. We found, if Cass is able to free herself, will the Nicosta really be forced back to join her? And the answer was yes, all the Nicosta will die as you know them. Can we find a way to the pillar before Cass can? Yes, she has no connection to divine magics. Can we parlay the guardian of the last pillar? He didn't know because the guardian is hidden even from him. And finally, in frustration, Saldana asked, "Do you have any faith in me as a follower?" To which her deity replied, "Faith is a one-way street, Saldana. It should be given with no expectation. Do you have faith in me?" And that is where the session ended.
Yep. Okay, so episode 142. We're almost done. Tamaris the 20th. It had Owen, Callie, Primalheart, Nathan, Mari, and Oshin in this session. At the camp, they pulled a shield out of the hag bag. And then Callie cast legend lore to try to learn more about the original breaking of the first gods. And she learned that Cass was going to use the obelisks to destroy the Dragon Mother. Instead, the mortals used magic to seal the Dragon Mother safely away, and they broke the rest of the gods. Cass maintained more of her identity by becoming the Baba Yaga, or Guyena and Hedwig as we know them, and scattering some of her essence around the world into the Nicosta. The party headed out to look for the 9th stone, and they were expecting a lot of tricks and possibly a powerful fae guarding it, so they were being very careful. They tried really hard to find fae, and they couldn't, and after a while, everyone was getting fed up. Then Callie decided to have reminded Mari that she has a favor from the Winter Court and that she could possibly use it. So Mari did use her ring and then declined the queen's offer to return her to her original form. Instead, she used her favor to get an audience with the Fae who was protecting the last obelisk. The Fae turned out to be a satyr named Yivris, who negotiated with everyone. He revealed that what he wanted was to go home to the Feywild, but he would need a willing Nicosta to give up their Nicosta essence in order for it to happen. He did say that it wouldn't kill them. It would just change them so that they'd no longer be a Nicosta. Mari declined, but the group reached out to Jastra, and after some negotiations with her, Yivris returned and said that she had agreed to it. So at that point, he sent Glitter home, which was part of the negotiation that Jastra had done. And he also revealed the obelisk to the group and said that the mists would keep it hidden for 24 hours, but then all bets were off. The party used their remaining spell slots to activate the stone, and as they did, Primeheart felt the chunk of air shale that he had picked up the day or so before, speaking to him. Vibrating even through the bag. He could feel it. They headed back to camp and talked to some of the mage rights about what they could do. They did find that the teleportation was available in a limited basis just within the island, which was new. Previously, they hadn't even been able to do that much. And the party decided that they'd likely have to teleport to the center of the island, since that was most likely where the location of the foot of the Dragon Mother would be. And at the end of the session, Owen sent a sending to Ashton Avery, one of his fathers, to check in and see how they were doing.
Episode 143. Connor pulled out a beautiful magical rapier named Quicksilver from the hag bag, giving him a very nice new weapon. The party decided to talk to Horace about teleporting to the center of the island now that teleportation magic had been allowed, and a race is on to get to the center before the broken parts of Cass do. The group teleports deep into the jungle, and Horace heads up in his little rope trick into his extra-dimensional space to study the area around so he could teleport back again. And the group, led by Syl, heads directly to the center of the island, and over the next rise is a huge crater made of raw air shale. It's just ginormous. There's just chunks of it laying around, dust everywhere. The party quickly gathers as much as they can hold, almost, before heading into the center of the bowl and down into a cave. Stairs seemed to previously lead upward from the opening, but whatever had occupied that space had since crumbled. But the stairs were intact. Looping down around several layers of the stairs, the party came to a series of 3 doors. One that had a symbol of the creators, which was forbidden to Syl. Syl attempted to open the door, but unfortunately, just due to a miscommunication, she didn't quite get it open. Nathan used his ghostly gaze to peer through the wall and saw 24 12-foot statues in various poses, all identical save for how they were posed. And Saldana and Connor explored the other pathways, finding no traps, and both led to worship rooms, one of Chiton and one of Faroche. Pip got bored with waiting and went through the big door, and while he found there was not dozens of statues, there were actually hundreds. And in his head he heard a voice ask, "Who are you?" "Pip is Pip." "Were you sent by the traders?" "No." What are you made of?" "Faroche." "So you bleed?" "Yes." The door opened and Pip went through, and the rest of the party entered the chamber as the door closed behind Pip. Everyone was able to catch up, slowly but surely, and they made their way down a long spiral staircase, only to find a huge cliffside and the tugging of the airshell claw leading right over the edge. Saldana sent her arcane eye down to find hundreds and hundreds of gargantuan purple worms surrounding something. And as she pushed farther in, she found some sort of carved statue lay beneath the pile. Syl and Pip make their way down to the bottom of the cliff through another passageway to scout it out. And when they got within 100 feet of the swarm began writhing. And after some experimentation, it is shown that the worms won't come near the airshell claw. So as they enter, the rest of the party catches up, and just these worms are again whirling and whirling and whirling around as they... Sorry, I have to switch pages really quickly, because it looks like our notes got cut off. Oh, never mind. It wasn't written in, so I'm gonna have to go from memory here, folks. 1 second. So they managed to attach the claw to the Guardian, revealing a huge airshell dragon, a Goa dragon, who speaks with them about their purpose in being there, saying that they will not get this weapon. And through a very beautiful moment and use of divine intervention from Saldana, managed to tell the Guardian that the purpose that they're there for is to release the Dragon Mother from bondage. And at that, he shows them the location of the weapon and urges them to return when the time is right, which he does not go into more detail on. But a vision is given to Saldana of the original of Cass planning to use the obelisks and this weapon to tear apart the Dragon Mother and destroy all the gods except for herself, only to be stopped by the denizens of the island, and given a vision of how the weapon was used in the past. And as the party leaves, they notice, just arriving on the basin, a chicken-legged hut settling in on the far side. And that was the end of episode 143. Last one, and then we will get to your questions.
Yep.
Okay. We got a couple already, so if you have any more, please let us know.
Yep. If you just want to finish off that session notes, Tessa, I started typing some of it as you were talking, but...
Sure.
Okay. Episode 144, Tamaris the 22nd. So, Callie ended up pulling a small bottle sealed in wax from the hag bag, and it turned out to have a red liquid with a sprig of wolfsbane in it, and Saldana was able to identify it as the essence of the loon wolf. It would impart the essence of the loon wolf on the imbiber, and Primeheart decided to give it a shot, so he unstoppered it and drank it, and the liquid was blood. He ended up growing wispy hair all over his body, and his bones and snapped, and his face and arms elongated and changed, and he became a true werewolf. So he's not cursed, he's a true werewolf, which means his stats are a little different, and he can pass the curse on to another person if he bites them. When not in a full moon, he can choose to transform into a wolf, a hybrid, or himself, and during a full moon, the stress can make him involuntarily turn into a hybrid form. Let's see. Callie sent to Eris Kine on Syl's behalf to explain about the airshell. Eris Kine acknowledged it and told Callie that Syl should come home, which Callie did not inform her of. It wasn't discussed in-game because Syl doesn't know that that's what her mother said, but out of character, we do know that Eris Kine had told Syl previously that she couldn't fill her in on all of the history details of what happened to the makers of the Goa, because if she did, Syl would not be able to leave the island anymore, since it's information they keep on the Goa nation specifically. So we don't know 100%, but we strongly suspect that this is partly the reason why Ereskine wanted Syl to come home, because this big Goa city, oh my god, Tessa, the crater is where the city used to be.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that episode, so that just clicked.
Shit. Yeah, it's where the city was. I realized I accidentally skipped that in the recap too. Yeah, that entire crater was the original Goa city, which is now floating. That's why it's a crater of just raw air shale.
Well, okay then. Okay. The party discussed what to do, and the captain said that they were going to cancel the expedition and start teleporting back to Mistwatch to take the ship to Cinderhaven. The party decided to head to the airshell crater, and the Baba Yaga's hut was there. Primeheart sent to the Guardian and asked, when and how will we be contacted? And have you met with the Shattered Cast, and can we visit safely? The Guardian didn't know when or how they would be contacted. He had not met with Cass, and they could visit. They decided to head down, and then they got to a spot where there was a wall of force stopping them, and they realized that the Baba Yaga had thrown up this wall of force to prevent them from getting back in. They went and spoke with Hedwig. She described her situation as being sewn to her sister. Each of them was awake until the other took over, and then they were placed in darkness, and that it was causing her to go mad. Hedwig wants to kill her sister, which would likely cause Hedwig's death too, and possibly the Nicosta, but we don't know. Hedwig wanted to use the egg to kill her sister on the day of the shattering, which is when Cass and the other gods were broken. It's the last day of Kasdan. The same would happen if she died, and she asked them not to force her to... This sentence makes no sense. She asked them to not force her to kill her.
Kill us, I think is what it was supposed to be. She asked, don't force me to kill you, I think is what it was that she said. Don't make me kill you, basically.
Okay, that makes significantly more sense. She wasn't sure how her plan would go and whether it would work. And let's see. Then they left and went back to the base camp. GB was able to summon a tower to use for shelter, and Sildana did some scrying on the Baba Yaga and heard Hedwig singing a song that she'd only ever heard Jastra singing. So it was a little creepy. Callie attempted to use some of the island's energy to cast a long-distance teleportation magic, or wanted to learn how. So she used a small piece of air shale that she carved into an egg as a sacrifice to the Dragon Mother, and asked her for help. The Dragon Mother returned the air shale egg to Callie and told her to feed it to her little friend to make him understand. So Callie gave the treat to GB, and GB was able to immediately understand how to create a quarter-mile circle on the island where you could teleport back and forth to it. And so everyone would be able to go back to Cinderhaven. We also find out from Pinball that he's fine. Wait. No, this is...
That was to Dub.
That's right.
Sorry, my brain had a momentary hiccup.
Who it was to didn't get put in there.
Yes.
Dub said he was fine and that he was happy when he thought of Syl, but there was a rumor. Someone said they saw a nocturne. Oshin sent to Pinball and also found out from him that there had been a nocturne sighting, and something that the people in power are keeping under wraps, but that did happen, is that the nocturne actually killed someone. Oshin also received a sending from Glitter, and it was the Pants song.
Most adorable sending ever.
Callie comforted Sildana after what had happened with the song, And then Primeheart and Callie shared a moment where they agreed to go back to Cinderhaven together, and Callie proposed using a ring that she had fashioned out of air shale. Primeheart said yes, and then congratulated Callie.
It was adorable. I loved it. It was perfect.
It was very, very Primeheart.
It was perfect. Are you serious? Yeah! Congratulations! It was great. I loved it. It was perfect. Alrighty.
Right.
Well, let's get into your questions, shall we?
So... Alright.
So many questions.
Mm-hmm. God, where do we want to start? There's so many questions.
Let's start with the first one and we'll just work our way through.
Okay. So for
In a hypothetical film/TV adaptation of Countless Heroes, let's say you get one guaranteed casting. You can pick up the phone and call any actor or actress living or dead, because we all know studio execs are necromancers, and they'll take the part, no questions asked. Who do you cast for what role and why?
That is a hard one.
Really hard. I mean, the obvious choice is Jason Momoa as Aldeon.
Yeah. Because we've already used him as a face claim.
Yes.
Yeah, there's, oh God, I can't remember his name right now. There's this old actor who was in a lot of musicals back in like the 40s, 50s era.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's gonna bug me now. I have to look it up. He was in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Okay, that narrows it down slightly. I'm trying to think of who it is.
Yeah, I'm Googling the IMDb because I can't remember his name.
Do you remember?
Where are the actors?
Are you thinking for,
Owen.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah.
Howard Keel. That's what it is.
Howard Keel, absolutely.
So anyone who wants to, if you don't know who this is, and like I grew up watching old movies, not everyone did. But if you look up Howard Keel and some of his songs, he's got this, he's really, really like deep voice and just lots of presence and like swagger. And I feel like he would be really good as Owen.
Yes.
If I was picking someone for Soxy, it would probably be oh God, what's the name? Doug Jones, the one who does all of the really good sci-fi.
Yes.
I think he'd do a really good job with all the mannerisms, given some of the other things I've seen him in. Voice-wise, I have no idea. Someone with a real British accent so that it sounds less bad.
I would go with Wes Bentley with like maybe a slightly fuller beard for Pinball.
Ooh, yes, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Okay, I'm very happy if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Primeheart's face claim, because that just means I'm marrying The Rock and I'm cool with it.
Does that mean that Lark is a young Jason Statham?
Yes. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Callie would be Kara. Oh God, I can never remember how to spell her last name or to say her last name. Delavide.
Oh, Delavaux or something like that. I don't know how you say it either. Yeah. But I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I could see that. This is way more than what we were asked to do, but now it's fun.
Yeah, but this is fun now.
All the cast members would be.
All right. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna roll this around for just a second, because this is gonna be a little strange. We were just introduced to Universe in this campaign. Knowing what you know of Universe, who do you cast? Because I don't have an answer for this. I have
For
yet
when
to be able
he's
to-
normal satyr sized or when he transforms and gets bigger?
either, because the face remains the same.
Okay, if we're talking like CGI,
Mm-hmm.
okay, honestly, like just excluding all of the craziness that and personal life things that have come up, just based off of what
Yes.
I've seen him act in, Johnny Depp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just based off like how big the range of crazy characters, I feel like he'd be able to
But
pull
like
off.
young Johnny Depp.
Yes.
Like young Johnny Depp.
Yes.
Because
like
yours is
crybaby
very-
Johnny Depp.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Crybaby Johnny Depp. Well, okay.
Yeah.
I'm dead now.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. That was
And yeah, some of the other ones, like, I feel like, I don't know who would do well with some of the other ones. I mean, if we're, that's a good one, Zach.
yes.
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Yes, I approve.
Absolutely, Carrie Elwes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to think on that one. Go ahead and continue to put your choices for actors in chat while we continue, because we've got a lot of questions. We want to keep it going fairly well, but we don't want to.
This is true.
Yeah, but Carrie Elwes as Connor is like
yes, that's
right
perfect.
there.
That's perfect.
I just now have a crack young Tim Curry as Owen in my head. If it doesn't quite work, but like just for just a second. Eddie Redmayne for Finko, hell yes.
Yes, that would be perfect.
Hell yes.
Okay, so the next question is, what does Callie feel about her deity being split into two?
She's not happy. For lack of a better term. She is very upset by the fact that the Dragon Mother has been bound and split. She's really not okay with it. That episode when she found that out was probably the angriest Kelly has ever been in her entire life. She doesn't usually do... Kelly is plenty rash and plenty impulsive. Anger is not an emotion that sits well with her. But yeah, it struck her really hard. So yeah, she's very determined to put things back to right. Now, the fact that it is split in perfect balance, light and dark, yin and yang, is very different. That gave her a little bit of comfort.
Yeah. I have to be honest, I don't know who Carl Urban is. Autumn.
Oh, he was Bones in the new Star Trek.
I could see that too.
Yes, Michelle Rodriguez for Ivy. Hell yes.
So just because I
My
think
happily queer little heart ships that.
Howard Keel's so old that a lot of people probably don't know who that is. That's his IMDb for anyone who wants to look. Although I think the picture on there is from when he's older. I'm talking young Howard Keel.
He was like
for Owen.
I don't know. He was super into all the big movie musicals. Like he was kind of like the Clark Gable kind of.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think he was in. What was he? I'm trying to think of something he was in that people would remember. Oh, well, he was in. No one's gonna know that one either.
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers is amazing. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go look it up.
Yes. Fair warning, there are some
sexist
things that happen because of the time when the movie was made, But just listen to the music and ignore that part.
Mm-hmm.
The music is good.
Still, it's a good story. I like it. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers is still a good movie. All right. Where do you think most of the party falls on destroying the weapon or using it?
Especially since we don't need it to get home, I think most of the party wants to destroy it.
I think, well, the idea, too, is that what we learned from the Guardian is that using the weapon to restore the Dragon Mother destroys the weapon so nobody can use it afterwards. So
okay.
I think we're... yeah, a lot of that was cut out of the recap. I'm not sure what happened there, but we'll pick it up. But yeah, I think the idea that that using it to bring Illumir Aruna back into power destroys the weapon. I think most of us are leaning towards using it to free the Dragon Mother because we don't want her stuck.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the case, then Soxy would be on that side. I didn't catch that part, so if that's the case and using it will free her, then I would think most of the party is probably on the use it to free her side. Not use it as a weapon, but just use it to free her.
Mm-hmm. If Soxy was given the choice, would she give up her mission and spend one final day with her friends? That's hard.
I'm not sure that that's how this works.
I think it was if she could.
Yeah. I guess if she was given the choice to no longer keep coming back and just pass away without having completed her mission. Honestly, at least as things stand right now, I don't think she would. Because, I mean, anyone who's paid attention to any of the games and knows some of Soxy's history, she literally doesn't know where she came from, who she is, like any of that, other than the fact that she's a chitin, so she pretty much had to come from Lamina. But the party is her family, so, I mean, spending one last day with them would obviously be a choice she would make depending on what the other flip side of that was. But having to give up her mission and not get to pass on properly, as well as the fact that she now knows that Baphomet has stolen the souls of other people as well, which means there's other souls trapped and unable to pass on the way they're supposed to, I don't see her being okay with that. So she would be definitely still wanting to take care of it. The other thing is, too, not everyone, but quite a few members of the party are very long-lived, including Pinball and Oshin, because they're furbolgs. So they can live, like, 800 years or something ridiculous?
400 or 500.
400 or 500. So Soxy, by comparison, is a chitin whose lifespan is, like, 60 or 70 years. So to a certain extent, this has made it so that she gets to stick around and spend longer and more time with Oshin and the people she cares about for anyone who has a long life. And, you know, I'm sure she'll protect the children of her friends, too, as much as she can while completing her mission and not, hopefully, forgetting everyone.
Yeah.
So I don't think she would.
There's
not right now. In the future, if there was, like, if she had spent, like, several hundred lifetimes doing this and just couldn't take it anymore, maybe, but not right now. Oh, here's one for you, Dutessa. I would love to know the nature of Callie's and Primeheart's relationship.
Engaged, currently. Callie and Primeheart have an interesting relationship. Both of them are pansexual. Both of them are polyamorous. Both of them are panromantic, and they have a very open relationship. But as far as emotional investment, at least from Callie's end, she cares very much for Connor. But as far as like love and emotional attachment, the only person that she's truly in love with or has that kind of emotional attachment to is Primeheart. Aphra came close. Aphra was close. Callie did very deeply care for Aphra and could have possibly loved her. She's not entirely sure how she felt, but after Everett was gone, I think she knew that she would miss that relationship, but I don't think it would never be something that Callie would give Prime Heart up for. She's very much a one Goliath lady. So, while at least romantically speaking and emotionally speaking. So, well, I see them, and Zach can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong. Well, they'll probably, have various partners depending on the situation. It'll be kind of the theory that the person that they come home to at the end of the day is always going to be each other. That's how I would describe it. So,
I'd agree from what I've seen from the outside looking in on their relationship.
It is all fun and games, but the two of them are linked. So.
Yep.
What do your characters miss the most about Cinderhaven?
You should go first, because mine's gonna hurt people.
Oh, God, why do you do this to me, Heather? Callie misses her temple. She misses the estate. She misses her chickens. And the orphanage is what she misses. She misses not being, they're in peril, clearly, but she misses the landscape not trying to eat her every 3 seconds, so.
That's fair, yeah. So previously, there would have been a particular person that Soxy probably would have missed the most, because as well as being her best friend's husband, he was, just like Oshin, had become like a brother to her. Since she no longer remembers that person, I would say I know, sorry, Jay. I did warn you. I would say that it's probably the kittens, because they're her nephews, are probably what she misses the most, because Cinderhaven is, as far as she's concerned, is her home. She doesn't remember Lamina Island at all. So it doesn't feel like home to her, even though she knows it technically should be. The party and her friends in Cinderhaven and the Cinderhaven itself, that is her home, that is her family, as far as she feels, because she doesn't know any of her past. So because of that, I would say if she remembered him, it would be Pinball. And because she doesn't, it's probably the kittens is what she misses the most. And then I do have to agree, she probably misses not having everything try to eat her. Honestly, she's probably had a few days where you guys got back and she's sitting there and she's like, how did I actually live here ever? How did I survive to get to Cinderhaven?
We don't know. Please tell us, because we would like to survive this.
Right. I would tell you if I could remember.
Now that magic seems to work again, do we think this faction of Drow will take advantage of it? Yeah.
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 That didn't take long.
I don't think we're safe.
What superhero movie would your characters enjoy and why?
Ooh. Callie would enjoy lots of, all of the superhero movies. Callie would probably most enjoy... Probably Doctor Strange.
I can see that. I don't know which ones
and Captain Marvel.
Would like the
she would
best.
enjoy Captain Marvel a lot.
I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet. I need to. But
oh, it's so good. We need to go. We need a girls' weekend. We should just do it.
I'm okay with that.
Because I'm more than willing to go again. It was that good.
In terms of the mainstream ones, I feel like she would probably like Thor movies.
Not Ant-Man?
No, I don't think, because he's not really an ant and he's controlling ants. No, I feel like she would like Thor because of the like holy weapon, extra powers type of aspect to it would feel familiar to her.
Mm-hmm. I thought maybe Captain America for socks.
I could maybe see Captain America too because of the fish out of water situation, since he doesn't was gone for so long, and is such a good, like, straight-laced person. But honestly, so's Thor in the first one.
That's true. That's true. I'm just trying to think of how it would relate to their class, because Callie's a monk cleric. And you've got that. Captain America's got that very paladin feel, so that's kind of was.
He does.
Thor does too, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Thor does too, and like son of a god magic weapon thing going on. Yeah. So I feel like that's what Soxy would resonate with. Okay.
Callie would dig the shit out of Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Callie would be all over that. Tessa has not seen Wonder Woman yet. I need to remedy that.
How have you not seen Wonder Woman?
I know. I haven't seen Black Panther either. I'm really, really behind. I know.
Okay, so what you're telling me is we need to find a day where we can actually get together in person, watch
yes.
all of the... Hi, Mowgli.
I haven't seen Thor Ragnarok either. I'm literally really behind. And I love the Marvel movies. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Where'd it go? How do you think the Farosh and Chiton connect to the binding of Baba Yaga? That's a good question.
Jay, I know. I started to watch Black Panther after I had my surgery, and I was so out of it, I couldn't, watch past 15 minutes of it. My brain would shut down, and so I was like, I really want to watch this again when I can enjoy it, so that's why I haven't done it yet, so I apologize. Sorry. I was like, I know, it's not because I don't want to watch it. Hey, Finn. I think the binding of the Baba Yaga, because she was split and all of that, Fae energy went into the ground, where ferrets and beetles burrow. I mean, they had the whole thing of them crawling out of the ground after the city left, because you literally torn this huge crater with the loss of the Goa city. So I think that's where that comes from. I think that's how they relate.
That would make sense to me too, because their origin has always been that Fae energy caused by something leaked onto the island and triggered some changes in some of the inhabitants, meaning the animals.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, Heather's got the answers there.
Well, only to a certain extent, because we gave Logan our starting points and then he changes everything. Okay.
That's how I feel about the Dragon Mother right now, because Dragon Mother in that pantheon is entirely my creation, and then I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean you're doing that? We did not say that. I understand. But I also know that he changes it and makes it even more amazing than... He takes our ideas and makes them even more polished, so...
Ooh, Fennec just came back from Shazam. Was it good, Fennec?
Ooh!
I want to know. Oh, good. What's that face for?
I was reading what Jay said about M'Baku. And because I didn't quite get the connection, and I also had a mouthful of sweet potatoes, so. Sorry, I apologize for eating my dinner slowly while we're doing this.
Okay, so next question.
Do you think the party will go back to redistribute the wealth of the Green Dragon? Fuck no. Callie has anything to say about it?
It seems unlikely, because then we'd have to kill the Green Dragon.
Yeah, we also, I mean, they collect people, so there wasn't a whole lot of wealth, per se, to be had there. There
was all the emeralds.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if it was with the sneaky people, Soxy could probably be convinced to go back and take them. Because green dragons are evil. Generally. I mean, I don't... And because it was asleep, and it had a bunch of dead chitin saved in, shadow boxes. So she's like, I'm not sure I like this dude.
I can see that. Callie would be like, just don't tell me. If you're gonna do it, just don't tell me that you did it.
Yeah, you can buy me dinner a couple of times and just don't say where you got the money and we'll call it even.
Just don't say, don't. La 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 la. Be how Callie handled that one.
Okay. Question from Zach. Is Callie more interested in adopting or having her own children?
Ooh, good question. Callie has no preference. Callie grew up in a society where parents didn't raise their kids. She has no idea who her parents are, because all the children of the order were raised communally. Everybody was all raised together in kind of like a nursery situation. So she has no concept of what a parent is beyond her own instincts. She likes to think that she'd make a good mom. I think that she probably leans more towards adoption of children than having her own, though she is not. She's not. Sorry, words just left my head. She's not opposed to the idea. She wants kids, whether or not she has them herself or she adopts them. She has no issue either way.
What would half Goliath, half Dragonborn children look like?
Adorable.
Well, yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to figure out which.
It'd be like the little scale patterns as their Goliath markings. It'd be adorable.
That's true. That'd be cute. Yes, Fennec, very tall.
Yes, very tall. Pretty sure Primarch's got a good foot on Callie still, so. I like it. It'd be, kind of more of a gray-green, maybe. Well, Callie's bronze, so maybe kind of like just a slightly muted bronze-colored skin. That'd be very cool. Or the markings of the Goliath is just where the dragon scales are. That'd be kind of cool.
It's an interesting thought.
I'm kind of into the idea. So, I don't know. It depends on if Primeheart wants kids or not, biologically or adopted. She's open for discussion. Although I am very, trying to think of how that works anatomy-wise.
Yeah.
I was like, do Dragonborns lay eggs? I don't think so, but no. I kind of, don't picture Dragonborns laying eggs or having clutches. I totally see lizard folk having clutches, but not Dragonborns. I don't know why. It's kind of like a weird... I don't know. I assume it's possible. We'll leave it at that. I assume it's possible.
Fair.
By the book, they lay egg, or they have live young, Jay? I'm curious. Oh shit, okay. Huh. Yeah, well, we'll see how it works in Vale, but that is interesting. I also wasn't born a Dragonborn, so we'll see how that works. Just come out as half-orc Goliath somehow. Okay. Alright, a question for Soxy from Zach. How far does Soxy's faith go? Is it blind faith, or would she question Axolotly if she were given an off-putting vision?
This is a good question. I would say in the beginning especially, she was a hesitant believer. Because, again, Soxy remembers absolutely nothing from before she woke up in a cell with O'Sheen. So it wasn't until the Resistance gave her a book, basically the way we've said it sort of retroactively is that the Resistance gave Oshin and Soxy a bunch of different tests and had them try different abilities to see what they could actually do. And they figured out that Oshin was a barbarian, and they figured out that Soxy had an affinity for divine magic and for fighting. And then at that point, they gave her basically like a big book of deities, and she flipped through them until one of them spoke to her, and that was Adaloxley. So in the beginning, I definitely think she was probably more hesitant because, I mean, she didn't know anything about her goddess. She just knew this is the one that feels right to me, so I guess I'll go with this one. It's why I never put a lot of emphasis on her being a religious type of character, because she followed it because she was pulled to it or called to it when she was offered choices, but not because she was raised in it, so she doesn't really know any of the faith that goes into it. Now, given the vision she had and actually speaking with her goddess, being brought back by her goddess with a holy mission, now I think she's pretty gung-ho. I don't know that it's blind faith, especially considering all of the things we're finding out now. But I do think her faith is strong in Adaloxley. And if she were given an off-putting vision, it would depend on the source. Like, if she touches something from the Dragon Mother and is given a vision of Adaloxley somehow doing something horrible, then, you know, she probably would have less faith in her goddess. But if, like, we're fighting the Baba Yaga and she has a vision of Adaloxley doing something, fuck off, Baba Yaga. So...
I mean, yeah. So we've got a little bit of time left. We got about 10 minutes, I think, before we're gonna try and wrap. So if anybody has any other questions to throw out, please feel free to do so. And let's go ahead and open it up for our favorite time of show, the shipping.
The shipping. Okay. So where do we want to start?
Oh, man. Well, we had one ship definitely set sail very strongly this last week with Callie and Primeheart getting engaged. So that ship, I think, is pretty well canon. K-Prime is Pip Frau forever. I'm here for it. Yes, I'm here for it.
See, I don't know.
I just heard a no being yelled from the other room, and I'm not sure if that was Logan in response to what I just said, or if it was unrelated. Could be either.
I don't know either, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Pip Frau. Mostly because Pip, even when his friends were in danger, Pip has chosen to not put other people in danger if he could help it. And yeah. Frau did the complete opposite. In a way that did get one of Pip's friends killed. It's
true.
The fact that I came right back doesn't matter. It technically got one of Pip's friends killed.
That's true.
So Soxy would not necessarily, she's not going to go fight Frau or anything like that. But she does not like Frau and is not going to trust her. So if Pip does decide to start bringing her around, it's going to be real hard. Yes, Jay, it is on brand for Pip's trend of liking women that end up endangering everyone. Because he liked Anika, and she caused us problems. Yep. Yet he liked that woman who ended up turning into one of the Rinth avatars, and you guys had to fight her. Yeah. Yep. No.
He liked red.
That's right. He liked red. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Every time Pip likes a girl, we have bad things happen.
And he liked Hedwig.
Oh, did he? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he liked Hedwig.
Yeah.
I think it turned out to be okay.
She's on the fence. I mean, the problem is, like, with everything we're doing, we're not really meeting a lot of people to have ships with.
Yeah. Right now, we're just meeting terrifying people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can I just say that the Goa dragon was fucking badass? I was so mad. I was not in that session. I was like, I want the Goa dragon.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there hasn't really been anyone for us to ship that's new.
It's true.
Prima Donna is
the
sunk.
SS Prima Donna is sunk. Yes.
Yes. We'd have to confirm.
Saldana.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we'd have to confirm with Gabby, but it almost sounded like she was saying that Saldana is asexual.
Yeah, she was pretty much, that conversation was pretty much, I do not want a relationship. Romance is never in the cards for me. It's not what I want.
Yeah.
She said maybe one day she thought she would have been, but she thinks she was just lying to herself. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, another question. Do you think we'll learn more about the Makers in this arc? I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I'd like to learn more about the Makers. I think it's a cool concept. Yeah, I would very much like... aromantic and asexual.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the impression I got. So yeah, the SS Prima Donna has definitely sunk.
Yep.
And I mean, honestly, other than that, we haven't met a whole lot of NPCs. I mean, there was Antonar and Tathlin. Antonar tried to kill us, and Tathlin's dead.
Captain Morgan is moving on.
Yeah, Captain Morgan's moving on. We've got Horace now, but he mostly just teleports us somewhere and then hides in his rope trick hole.
Which, to be honest, it's a smart fucking move, dude.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Brilliant.
With the shit we fight, that's brilliant.
Good choice.
And then there's Frau. Meh. And we haven't really met any other residents of the island other than the Goa dragon, who, you know, that's not a ship either.
Yeah.
Can I ship the Goa dragon killing the green dragon so we can take all his emeralds?
We don't know that the green dragon is evil. Okay, so this was a little insight into. I worked very heavily on the Dragon Mother mythology with Logan, and the original concept was that there are colors of dragon. There is no good or evil dragons. There's no set alignment based on metallic or chromatic. At least that was the idea. I do not know if Logan is going away from that or not. So we'll see.
Okay.
So originally the idea was that there were no alignments of dragon. There were just dragons.
Okay, fair. We don't technically know that the green dragon is evil. Yes, the people collecting is what concerns me.
Yeah, that is problematic. Yes.
Now there is a chance. I will say there's a chance that it's like this dragon's really good friends who died a long time ago, and he had friends that kept dying, so finally he went to sleep. This is a possibility. I don't discount that as a possibility. But it was creepy.
But they were so meticulously and wonderfully laid out and so honorific.
That makes it creepier.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. Alright, does anybody else have any random ships? I think otherwise we'll go ahead and wrap it up around 9 o'clock here. Give it about 3 more minutes for questions or ships, and then we'll call it a night.
Mm-hmm.
Let Heather and I get some sleep before shenanigans tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that. We have two new
talk about
shows
shenanigans
starting tomorrow.
There's 2 new shows starting on Nerdsmith tomorrow.
Shenanigans is new.
Well, it's a new streaming show. Yes, I too ship everybody with sleep. That is why I'm excited about possibly ending at 9 o'clock. So I can get some of that. My brain just left. Tomorrow at noon is going to be the premiere episode of Final Rites, which I am very excited about. Yes, I also ship everybody in Final Rites with each other because that is a party waiting to happen. And then tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, there will be no Countless Heroes because Shenanigans will be airing, where you will still see me and Heather and Kyle and Mike and Ange and Logan, but we will be playing different characters. Heather, why don't you tell us a little bit about Val real quick?
Okay. Val is a half-orc cleric. She is a grave domain cleric. And she follows the goddess Wayuna, who is the goddess of, what did we make it? The grave and death.
I have to double check, but I think grave and death, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, she's the goddess in charge of death and making sure everybody stays dead in their grave where they're supposed to be.
Like you're supposed to.
Yes, Val is very sort of sardonic, which, you know, that's on brand for me, and very gruff. And instead of having an accent, hopefully I'll remember how to do her voice, but Val's voice is really deep, and she kind of talks like this, and yeah, it's let's just get it over with. Merrick, stop stabbing me.
That sounds about right. And then I play Bonnie, who is a half-elf, or a sea half-elf. She is a bard, College of Swords, so she dreams of life as a pirate. She comes from a very small fishing island called Ashnar's Tooth, and basically said, I'm out, there's nothing here but fish, and I want nothing of it. So she is journeying to try and find her sea elf father, who she has... We're not entirely sure if it is true or not that he might be a pirate somewhere out there in the world, but she's convinced that he is. So she's a little bit of... She's got a little bit of the naivete of Pesk, along with a little bit of the flirtatiousness of Callie, only toned way, way back. She's just kind of... The stories are how the world is, and what do you mean that's not how the world is? So that's pretty much... 2 a.m. Heather is not here, but Val is here.
Why would 2 a.m.
Kind of the same
Heather
thing.
Yeah, who's 2 a.m. Heather? I don't know what that is.
2 a.m. Heather is my Patronus! 2 a.m. Heather is my favorite Heather. That is not true. I love all of the iterations of Heather, but I do enjoy 2 a.m. Heather. 2 a.m. Heather is very, very blunt, and it is very fun to be around.
Yeah, 2 a.m. Heather equals tired Heather, where my filter stops working between the brain and the mouth, so everything comes out, and it's good and bad.
Yeah. I will say that I got a little sneak peek of what is going to be going up right before we start Shenanigans tomorrow. I am very excited. That's all I'm going to say. So you guys should come tomorrow at 7 p.m. Also, if you guys are able to, you should definitely check out Final Rites tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard Time. I believe they're going to be doing a giveaway of Scorched Rainbow metal dice from Die Hard Dice for their inaugural episode, so you guys should check it out.
They pretty.
I did see one last question really quickly. Who are we most excited to see again? I'm assuming that's in Cinderhaven. I am really excited to go say hi to Ivy.
Out the kittens. for both Heather.
You can't say what you want to say.
For both Heather and Soxy, it's the kittens because I can't have it be Pinball. Or maybe Mo. Mo is on the list too. Mo and the kittens.
Mo is high on the list, yes. Mo is high on the list.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing, is she remembers Mo, she remembers the kittens. She remembers playing with the kittens in Pinball's tower, but she just doesn't remember Pinball ever being there. So, it's... yeah.
I am excited to see our nephews. I know Pesk is running around the city somewhere. We might see her, who knows. I've pretty much given Pesk over to Logan as an NPC at this point. If he chooses to use her, great. If not, we'll see. If something happens to Callie, maybe she'll come back into my control. I doubt it, because I'm pretty attached to my Dragonborn girl. So, yeah. we'll see. She's
Yep.
running around. But yeah, I'm really excited to go see Ivy again. And,
Yeah,
Astrid and check on the orphanage. But,
Oh, and for
and the
anyone
goblins.
who doesn't already know, this is not about Cinderhaven, but don't forget to tune in a couple of weeks, starting on the 16th. We're going to have our sub drive. I think it actually starts on the 15th, but is the 16th? No, it's the 16th.
It starts the day after tax day.
But the sub drive, we're doing something special this year, so you should definitely tune in.
It's going to be very exciting. Heather has been very hard at work putting some schedules together for the amount of craziness that we are going to be doing. It's going to be very fun. I'm looking very much forward to it.
Me too.
I forget. Are you dipping your toe in? Are you dipping your toe into the DM seat there, Heather?
No.
No?
No, we have more than enough DMs, so I didn't need to.
Someday we'll get you in there. I would love to be in a game that you run, Heather. It sounds like a blast.
It would be a lot of like, oh shit, let me look this up.
Oh yeah, because my games run so smoothly. Alright, so I think on that note, we're going to go ahead and call it a night, guys. We hope that we'll see you tomorrow here around noon to check out Final Rites, and back here at 7 to check out Shenanigans. I know we're both really, really excited to bring those offerings to you and bringing Shenanigans out of the podcast world into a stream near you. I know a couple of us have gotten accessories to wear on stream, which I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I think we'll see you guys tomorrow. And as always, my loves, carry on, you funky little tieflings.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Did we lose a Logan?
And this is where we wonder if Logan remembered to turn us off or not. I think that's a no. I better poke it.
Hi again.
Waiting for the Logan to turn us off. It's okay.
Yeah.
How are you guys? We don't ever talk to you. Hopefully he didn't step away to use the restroom really quick.
Okay.
Well, I unfortunately can't turn us off, so
it's okay. I guess we could. I mean, it's not a secret what we're doing for the sub drive, right?
No, it's not. It's not a
Okay.
secret. We'll just talk about it.
Yeah, let's do that. So, for anyone who hasn't been through a sub drive with us before, which is lots of people because we had one like a month after we launched last year. Basically, if you've listened to any of our shows or our podcasts or anything, we don't really push heavily on subscribing and supporting the creators. We mention it, but it's not like something we hardcore focus on. But 2 weeks every year, between April 16th and April 30th, we do focus on it. And it's something that we talk about, and there's bonuses for if you sign up during that time frame. If you sign up or if you upgrade your subscription, there's special loot you get for being a subscriber. It varies depending on what level of subscription you have. So it can be something like stickers or pins, or last year we had mugs. Like it's all over the place depending on which level you sign up for.
Right. And this year I know, and when we talk about subscriptions, we're not talking about Twitch subscriptions, we're talking about subscriptions to support us on nerdsmith.org, which is our parent organization where you can find all of the Nerdsmith shows, podcasts, video streams, artists, contributors. We are all there. You can find us and read recaps of some of the show if you've missed it. I think most of it's been put onto our World Anvil now, or is going over to World Anvil at some point. So I think we're just check out our sponsors, worldanvil.com. They are amazing. Make sure you go and check them out. They're especially great if you are running a campaign or have a novel that you're writing and you need to world build. Well, I don't know why that is so hard to say sometimes. You should definitely check them out. And there's also, please go check out our sponsors, Die Hard Dice. They just released 2 more upcoming colorways of polyhedral dice.
Ooh,
And
I
they're
haven't seen those yet.
Oh, Heather, they're purple. They're purple swirl glitter awesomeness.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Oh, they're real pretty. They're real pretty. Yeah, it's bad for my wallet. So yeah, so you please go check them out. Some of the things, I think we might as well go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the things that you might get if you are a new or upgrading subscriber. There might be something in the works around with Die Hard Dice, maybe giving us some giveaways for subscribers, perhaps.
Oh yeah, there might be something like that.
And if you've ever wondered what the food that Pip Tip talks about tastes like, we are doing a Nerdsmith cookbook as well. Curated, of course, by our prime chef himself. Editor
Indeed.
and chef Pip.
And there's going to be a lot of fun shenanigans happening during the sub drive. Here on our Twitch channel, we are doing a lot of crossover episodes. Well, they're not really crossover episodes. We're doing a lot of sort of mixer type of episodes. So if you tune in from the 16th through the 30th, you'll be able to see games where we're playing with different people, some from in the network, some from outside the network. We've got a couple of people who've been friends of the network that are going to come in and either run a game or play a game. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of craziness, a lot of different styles of games because it's not all D&D. So that'll be a lot of fun.
All right. I just got word that Logan is back. I think he had stepped away for a necessity, so I apologize for that. It's okay. So, as I said earlier, we love you guys. Tune in tomorrow and carry on, you funky little tieflings.
Night, guys.
Good night.